Let's start by asking what Florida needs right now.
Well, I think, Joe, we have to be careful about how we characterize the blow that Florida experienced. I would say it was more like Florida dodged a cannonball rather than a bullet, because we did just feel a massive impact with Hurricane Helene. And we have people who are reeling from that storm. The storm surge from Helene was massive and hit places that even more significantly than was expected. So between Helene and the 3 million without power, the effects that even though Milton actually hit from the west, from the Gulf Coast, there were very significant effects, including in St. Lucie County on the east side of Florida. There were about 12 tornadoes that touched down, and we had deaths in St. Lucie County. So this was a very dangerous storm, and we are going to have very serious impact in the aftermath.
Well, including potentially what could be tens of billions of dollars in damages and recovery costs that could be needed here. Your Republican colleague in Florida, Congresswoman Anna Paulina Luna, posted on X today that she spoke by phone with President Biden. And in part, what she said is, if Congress goes into special session, we can get it passed immediately, meaning more aid for FEMA for hurricane victims. She says this needs to happen. Speaker Johnson, call us back. She subsequently said that she did speak with the House Speaker. Congresswoman, what are you hearing from your own leadership and whether or not it is likely you will be returning to Washington prior to the now scheduled date of November 12th?
Well, it would have been helpful if Congresswoman Luna had actually voted for the CR that included the disaster relief that we added, but that the Republicans refused to add enough of. And that's why SBA, in terms of their disaster loan program, is getting perilously low. And while FEMA has the resources that they need now to respond, this is something that we should have addressed and that Democrats have urged the Republican leadership to address, and they refused. So right now, we need to make sure that in the 72 hours after Milton has hit and it has departed, we have to make sure that people are really careful about trying to get back to their homes. They need to heed the warnings and communicate with local officials, because this is where we have a lot of deaths occur when the storm has departed. So, and what I heard from local folks on the West Coast was that they're actually still in search and rescue mode for a lot of people who had flooding, and so we need a way to beat before we're focused on recovery. But thankfully, FEMA pre-positioned 1,200 employees across the state to make sure that they're ready to follow up on that recovery. And we do need to return to Washington. We need to make sure that we have the kind of funding necessary, because actually the disaster fund spent half of what we put in it in the CR in the first 8 days of the fiscal year. That's why I wish that my Republican colleagues had actually heeded the urging to make sure that we put that replenishment in before we left town.
Congresswoman, I spoke with one of your colleagues earlier today on the early edition of Balance of Power, Democratic Congresswoman Kathy Castor of Florida, whose district includes part of the Tampa Bay area. She joined us by phone because she has no power. Here's what she had to say about the long-term economic impact on Florida.
The long-term economic harm to our way of life in Florida also is going to be critical. We're already suffering a property insurance crisis. We pay the highest rates by far than any place across the country. Electric bills have been out of sight, and this is the new abnormal, I'm afraid, because of extreme hot temperatures.
Congresswoman, we understand that FEMA has enough money for now for individual assistance, but it's in fact the SBA, the Small Business Association Administration, I should say, that is now down to 2 weeks worth of funding. Is that the first matter that Congress will have to deal with here?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the SBA disaster loan program is getting perilously low, and we're going to need to deal with that as soon as we come back. If the Speaker is unwilling to bring us back before that, what we really need to make sure we do show over the long term is Congress really needs to pass a comprehensive program that ensures that we have the kind of reinsurance available to mitigate against these disasters and not have the bottom drop out of property insurance when these disasters strike. The state legislature and Ron DeSantis have not done enough to actually reform property insurance here in Florida. But really, we have natural disasters all over the country, and we need to make sure that we have the kind of reform that covers the country that can provide that kind of necessary mitigation, or we're going to have a real crisis on our hands. We really already have a crisis here in Florida in terms of affordability.
Well, certainly. And Congresswoman, before we let you go, obviously this is coming with just weeks to go until Election Day. Are you concerned that in Florida and in the other states that were affected by Hurricane Helene, that there will be serious disruption to people's ability to cast their ballot?
You know, we have dealt with, because hurricane season occurs in and overlaps with the election time, we have dealt with, and our supervisors of elections are pretty experienced in standing up alternative sites when that's necessary, and they prepare for that in advance. But we need to make sure that that happens. I really wish that Ron DeSantis had agreed to extend the voter registration deadline that was Monday, as people were preparing for Milton and still reeling in the aftermath of Helene, but he refused to do that, unfortunately. But we do need to make sure our supervisors of elections are looking at alternative sites if the sites for early voting, and early voting starts a week from Monday, are unavailable. And so that is a concern, but usually we're in pretty good shape in terms of preparing for people to have an opportunity to have a place to go to vote. But obviously, people who are dealing with the devastation in the aftermath of a storm, whether they cast a vote ends up being, unfortunately, a lower priority. So that's going to be a challenge.